Put your hands to the plow, saving souls, restoration in this earth. Jesus Christ is what we rep. Reppin' blood, you out the way today to serve the Lord. Put your guns down, stop killing each other. See the God in your brother, the spirit is willing, set us all free. Taste and see his liberty is what we need. Gather all sheep, plenty of followers out there facing this world day and night, taking it on, occupy until he comes. Doing his work, teaching the gospel, raising the dead, living holy in a lost and dying world. Separate the good from the bad. Educate yourself, pick up this book and read, stimulate your mind. Why can't you see you won the victory?
Why can't you see?
Why can't you see? Why can't you see?
You won the victory.
You won the victory.
All is lost.
You are his lost.
He died for you and me.
He died and rose again.
Why can't you see?
Why can't you see?
You won the victory.
You won the victory.
All is lost.
You are his lost.
He died for you and me.
He died and rose again.
You see?
Why can't you see? Why can't you see? Shalom, peace and blessings. Welcome to Lost Souls Ministry. I'm glad that you chose this channel today. And because you chose this channel, I know that the Almighty Yah is going to move greatly, and he's going to bless you with the message that we have today. And I want to tell you why we exist. Why does Lost Souls Ministry exist? We close the gap between you and God. We regenerate or grow the lost or injured soul. The third thing why Lost Souls Ministry is such a great ministry for you to tune in today and you pick this channel, we bring you into a renewed existence. And because we bring you to a renewed existence, I want to let you know that your family will be rebuilt all over again, because we build the family structure, and most importantly, we allow you to rely on God's word.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, peace and blessings, family. Welcome
Amen.
to Lost Souls Ministry.
Praise
Hope you guys enjoyed the service today.
Amen.
Be attentive, open your ears, and hear the word of the Most High Yah.
Amen.
Yahuwah, freedom to worship and bow down to Yahuwah. Freedom to worship, to bow down to Yahuwah.
Yes. Well, just go again. Woo! Freedom to worship, to bow down to Yahuwah. Yes. Freedom to worship, to bow down to Yahuwah. Freedom to worship, to bow down to Yahuwah. Everybody at home. Freedom to worship, to bow down to Yahuwah. Freedom to worship, to bow down to Yahuwah. Woo! Come on. Freedom to worship, to bow down to Yahuwah. Come on, at home. Freedom to worship, to bow down to Yahuwah. Woo! Thank you. Let's give him a hand clap, please. Hallelujah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, all welcome. Welcome right now to Lost Souls Ministry, Part 2 and Day 2 of the service week. The second service. Again, welcome. Most High greets you. Most High Yahuwah and His Son Yeshua. Blessings to all of you watching in the house and online. Thank you very much for your time to tune in on a second day. Thank you very much. Blessing to have you and blessing to keep you very much. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As we open up, I just want to open this up to part 2 of the Kingdom Investment we're going to be going over. But first I want to just break down why Lost Souls Ministry exists. To sum it up, we turn slaves into kings. We turn slaves into kings. Can we say that? We turn slaves into kings. We close the gap between you and Yah. Because sometimes in our faith there can be a separation. There shouldn't be. So we close that gap. So it's one. We generate or grow the lost or injured soul. So sometimes people may have experienced church hurt before. We regenerate and bring that into a renewed existence. So you're transformed and open. So no longer is it a religious type atmosphere. We rebuild the family structure where the man and the woman are king and queen. It's a partnership and a song and dance where the man is the king of his home and the woman is the queen. And we allow you to rely on Yah's word. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Again, we turn slaves into kings. As we open up, I want to recap a little bit of what we discussed last week. And through us opening up, I want to tell you, if you guys see at home on the bottom of your screen, there is a banner to donate to Cash App. If you guys are moved cheerfully to donate, definitely, any ministry definitely need the help to be able to produce and grow things and plant and to expand, things that are happening to help others. So please, give if you can. More than welcome to. Again, Cash App at Lost Souls Ministry. Thank you very much. Again, Kingdom Investment. Just to recap, we went through Matthew chapter 13 to open it up. And just to refocus on that, we broke down what Yeshua was saying. To give you a recap, in Matthew chapter 13, Yeshua is saying, and in some cases, how he spoke to the masses versus his closest students, there was a controversial authority that must be, or like a barrier that must be respected. Because somebody of the outside hearing that, like the general masses, but people that have not walked with him to fully grasp that, there had to be an ease-in effect. That's hence the reason why he used parables and why he broke down things. Because if you just go outside and start giving people kingdom meat, as opposed to, allowing the process to take place, then that can be a problem. Yeshua was saying in Matthew chapter 13, he said things that we have learned in the process that we must hold dear and understand that they are seeds to plant or invest and then grow into a great bigger project, and it will be bigger than the initial thought. So as he was using those analogies, if a man buys a field and plants something, or he holds it dear, or situations like that, and he sells everything he has just to get that one thing. Situations like that, people, what they'll do is the true kingdom message. Once it's invested, the return of it is so great. Again, in the process of the explanation, we used an open field. We all drive by open fields, and we see that there could be nothing there or a whole farm. But before there was a farm, there was nothing there but just grass. Somebody had to come along and see a vision, see an outside source, see the investment of, when I invest into this, what is it going to produce? And so then we see a whole forest or a whole garden or a whole ranch or farm grown from that investment. Yeshua said, or is saying, that during these moments while you are growing and investing in the correct things, that there will be haters. And the process or outside forces will try and stop the growth. Like he explained about wheats and tares. In the process of growing, there's going to be bugs or things like that can infiltrate, that can hinder the growth. So you have to use certain things, certain remedies to stop those situations from happening. You can't uproot the weed. You can't uproot the things, because what's going to happen is the whole thing's going to be uprooted. You have to let it grow until the time of harvest. And then Yeshua is saying that information that he has won't be understood by someone who is just newly on the outside because they haven't walked with you. And understand because they haven't been trained on the process or operation yet. To understand this, they have to have an open door, or at least to get a glimpse, a nibble, which, again, that's where parables come from, analogies, to understand that, or unless the information is unlocked to them. That's the general opening, the summary. We went through Matthew 13, and we covered that whole chapter, and then we broke down the explanation through the scriptures. I'll tell you guys what we went through. We went through Luke 19, chapter 19, verses 11 through 27. We went through Matthew 25, verses 14 and 13. We went through Luke chapter 6, 37 through 49. And then Numbers chapter 32. We went through 17 through 42. And we stopped there, and I let you guys have a part of that for homework so you know the ending of that. And we ended where Moses commanded, or he sent out the children of Gad, half of the tribe of Manasseh, and then the tribe of, I think it was Gad, wasn't it Joseph, I believe? But he sent 3 tribes out, 2 of them and then half of the other tribe, to be able to build cities around the area, to build cities. That's where we left off at. And I kind of want to touch on that in the opening, and then we'll get back into it. Again, what I would reference is that you guys go back and you watch the message. Also watch the last 2 of where are the kingdom authorities, as well as the evidence of the Spirit, because this just complements those things. So again, I would definitely go and reference that. But to give you some it was the children of Gad and the children of Reuben. My apologies. So those 2 tribes and then half of Manasseh he dispatched. So if you've done your homework, that's where I left off at. And then we're going to go into it. So in the opening, thank you guys again for watching. If you can please open us in prayer, Sister Ernest, and then we'll get right to it. Thank you.
Father God, in the name of Yeshua, we come thanking you and praising you for another day, Father. For this is the day that God has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it.
Yes.
We thank you for your word on today, Father. We pray you move by your Spirit, Father. Anoint the pastor today and anoint his message.
Yes.
Lord, let your message go forth and touch every heart that may hear. You say he that has an ear, let him hear.
Yes.
Lord, just pray that it will touch them and move them and change them in such a way that they will draw near and nigh unto you. They will have a thirst and hunger for your word even the more. And we just thank you for your blessings and your love and your mercy and grace that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for another day. We thank you for breath, for breathing on us and breathing into our body, the breath of life.
Yes.
We thank you for your son, Yeshua, for his sacrifice on the cross. We thank you for his love and his kingdom message that he sent forth.
Come on.
Thank you for his example to the disciples, to the students, to show us in the way we should go. And we just thank you for everything you have done for us in your son, Yeshua's name.
So be it, and it is so. Thank you guys again. Welcome again to the second day of Lost Souls Ministry. We definitely honor the elders of the house, as well as everybody tuning in and listening. So we're going to open this up. Again, keep me honest. I'm not going to preach not more than 45 minutes to an hour. 12:15, 12:10, or even 12 is my limit. So please keep me honest to that, because again, I want to respect your time. Open this up again, Matthew 13, just a little bit more dialogue, then we'll get into the breakdown to finish up the next half of what we were talking about. In some cases, we go forward. We talked about the investment process. We talked about how kingdom investment works in the natural and the supernatural, or the physical and the spiritual. So we talked about that investment process and what Yeshua was talking about in Matthew 13. Though in that investment, there's something called a return on investment. Or another word to say is harvest. So in that kingdom investment, we have a harvest that comes to play. So as the same analogy comes forth, as you drive by, or as you're owning your land, or as you're producing those things, now it's got to be time to be able to harvest those crops, or harvest what you've worked for, or harvest what you built upon. So when you're harvesting what you built upon, there's a tactical thing that has to be approached in that labor, because there's a work that has to be done. So all the work, you prepared it, now you have a tree. Now you have a finished product. Now you have something you can draw from to sustain and to be everlasting. And it'll be constantly revolving. So in this thing is with that thing, as you grow a tree, you can just freely go out. Let's say you have to go buy groceries. You ain't got to do that. You can go outside. You can go and just pick off an apple. There's your snack for the day. That's a small analogy. Look at it bigger, though. Look at when you have your empire built, and all of a sudden it's something you can go there and just use those resources that you've invested, because then they're much bigger. Not only will you have it, but other people in your circle, in your family, will be able to withdraw, and it'll be an ever-revolving door, because what they withdraw is what they will get. And then that get would have much more implied to that, because again, one apple could hold 10 seeds, and that's 10 trees. So that return on investment should be an ever-revolving door, and it should not be closed, because once it's built, you have to have laborers to sustain it. Because another good example is that when a lot of people, and I'm going to use this more of a worldly analogy so you guys can understand this. In the harvest, what people do is there's things out there people call one-hit wonders. They'll come out with a really great song and it'll go viral. Someone will buy it or want to sign you for a label, and that one song could produce you millions. You could become famous, whatever it is. But what people do is they stop at that, and they stop and they get all of this wealth, and then they splurge it in 1 year, and then they're back to where they started because of the awe moment. The awe moment. So the harvest, when you first get a farm apple, a farm tomato, a farm, it's going to taste better than store-bought food. Because it's going to taste better, there's going to be an awe moment where you want to sit. You want to settle in that moment. And what people do is they settle, and then once all those fruits go away, you have to reinvest. And then now the reinvestment, you think of the work, you think of everything. And so at that point, that's why laborers of the harvest are needed. And that kingdom sits, the return of that, it's a constant revolving door. So opening with that, I want to again go ahead and actually back up and read a little bit of Numbers 32 where we left off. Numbers 32, we're going to actually read a little bit further down after 17. Again, just want to refocus. Go down to about 25. And we're going to start from that. So again, Numbers chapter 32, and we're going to go to verse 25. Again, Numbers chapter 32, and we're going to go to verse 25 on down. So we can, again, just to get a refocus, to pick it up where we left off. Go ahead, Mr. Mince.
And the children of Gad and the children of Reuben spoke unto Moses, saying, Your servants will do as my commands. Our little ones, our women, our flocks, and all of our cattle shall be there in the cities of Gilead. But your servants will pass over, every man armed for war, before Yahuwah to battle, as my says. So concerning them, Moses commanded Eleazar the priest, and Yeshua the son of Nun, and the chief fathers of the tribes of the children of Yisrael. And Moses said unto them, If the children of Gad and the children of Reuben will pass with you over the Jordan, every man armed to battle before Yahuwah, and the land shall be subdued before you,
The what shall be subdued?
The land shall be subdued before you.
It shall be taken. But again, the arming, it's the readiness, the equipping. They already came with their tools. When you go till a field, you're going to have to bring your gardening equipment. I mean, you're going to have to become ready. So this being the case, they were already ready. They were equipped. They weren't lacking. They had resources. Go ahead.
Then ye shall give them the land of Gilead for a possession. But if they will not pass over with you armed, they shall have possessions among you in the land of Canaan.
Come on.
And the children of Gad and the children of Reuben answered, saying, As Yahuwah has said unto your servants, so will we do. We will pass over armed before Yahuwah into the land of Canaan, and that the possession of our inheritance on this side of the Jordan may be ours. And Moses gave unto them, even to the children of Gad, and to the children of Reuben, and unto half the tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joshua.
So here's a big thing, is that Moses gave unto them. So their commander and leader at the time, that Yah appointed him to be the face of Yah to them, he was the one that gave the charge and said, hey, children of Gad, children of Reuben, and half the children of Manasseh, these are what you're going to be given. And look at what he gave them. Go ahead.
The kingdom of Sion,
Sihon, king of Amorium, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, the land with the cities. So he literally gave them 2 whole kingdoms, and even the cities of the whole country round about. Now think about this. So you got the charge to be equipped and literally to establish and take over kingdoms, because there was already kings in place. And so in that takeover, look at what was afterward. Look at what they did. Look what they built. Look what Israel built. Go ahead.
the land with the cities thereof and the coast, even the cities of the country round about. And the children of Gad built Dibon, and Ephraim, and Aroer.
These are cities, whole cities, thriving cities. So the children, as you can see, it was a tribe, it was a team, or you could say it was a ministry. And as you can see, it's not just one ministry. They had the children of Gad, Reuben, and half of Manasseh. So it was a couple administrations there doing the same work, building kingdom cities. Go ahead.
And Atrot, Sophon, and Zasher, and Zogban, and Bethlehem, and Bethran, fenced cities, and folds for sheep.
So again, building cities. Go ahead, continue.
And the children of Reuben built the Heshbon, and Eliah, and Kirjathim, and Nebo, and Balameah, their names being changed, and Sheba.
Say it again. Their names being what?
Their names being changed.
Because in a takeover, what was there before, or what was not supposed to be there, has to go back to the roots of the language that it was supposed to be in. Because originally, that was commanded by Yahuwah to do this thing. So the name would be what its original root name would be. Hallelujah. Continue.
And Shipma, and gave other names unto the cities which they builded. And the children of Masher, the son of Manasseh, went to Gilead, and took it, and dispossessed it, the Amorite which was in it. And Moses gave Gilead unto Mishar, the son of Manasseh, and he dwelt therein. And Jared, the son of Manasseh, went and took the small towns thereof, and called them Havathrotor. And Noba went and took Kenneth, and the villages thereof, and called it Noba, after his own name.
So as you can see in the recap and breaking down, was where we left off, and we actually went through this. These are cities that were pronounced and produced and taken over and renamed based on what Yahuwah have commanded them to do. That's taken over that territory. So in taking over that, because they had to rename things, now we read the context of this story, but what is in between as far as what they had to do to take over? I'm sure there was battle they had to fight. I'm sure there was a process they had to do. There was a way they had to go in each place. So the real-time action that it took to do that, we see highlights. But the behind the scenes to be able to go and have a conversation, get to know the locals, get to know the surrounding areas, there was a process with this. So when we read this, understand that this is a process to do that. And in this same process, if this was happening then, and this is the same message that Yeshua was preaching then, and the same thing that happened and was preaching after Yeshua, what do you think is happening today? The same thing. The same thing. Because the very system that's in place, just like this, there has to be something else to sustain it. The kingdom investment has to be able to take that, reestablish it into a righteous thing to sustain a better way. Because the current system, the worldly system, isn't sustainable. So it has to be changed and taken over. It has to be. That being the case, now we're going to jump to 2 Corinthians 9. Again, that's just a recap of what they were doing. Now, we go into laboring. We go into harvest. That's the segment we're going to be jumping to. So 2 Corinthians chapter 9, starting at verse 6, going to 15. 2 Corinthians chapter 9, going to verse 6, and then going to 15. Con, when you have it, wait on me if you don't. In 2 Corinthians chapter 9, going to 6, yep, there you go. All right, I love the title, A Cheerful Giver. Sure, because when you invest, you have to give something. All right, go ahead, Sister Ernest.
But this I say, he which sows sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which sows bountifully shall reap also bountifully.
So as you can see, if you sow, if you make your bet in the pot, and I'm going to use this example, if you try to weak bet, or I'm going to just kind of put a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit in there. I'm going to put a little bit in there to be able to confirm and to be able to do those things. Just a little tap in. But I'm a little cautious though. There's no risk involved. I'm going to put a little bit because there's no risk. But again, bountiful. If you want something to grow bountifully and to withdraw, you're going to have to put a bountiful portion. Because if you sit there and you put just a little bit because you feel there's a risk, that's a fear. Now, there is a wise aspect of this, right? There is always a risk and a chance. That's the concept of faith, though. Yeah. Because of faith, it's the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So if there's no evidence of things not seen yet, and you're investing in this thing, but then again, there's little nuggets that's leading you in that, a walk or a confirmation that's happening through the Spirit of the Word itself, and there's moments that you know based on what the Word is telling you, but you may not have the results that may have sprouted yet, but there's nuggets along the way. Again, the evidence of things, the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. So you have to go through the process of having things not seen first, so then later they will be manifested to you. Because if they were manifested in the beginning, up front, there would be no labor or investment to work to be able to establish what you have. If you walked into an open church and you just walked in and everything was given to you, you would not show up every week. If you put no effort or be able to establish the seed or be able to build it, you would not have there'd be no tie to it. If you built a house and you didn't lay the brick and it was just given to you, you'd have this thought process, well, I didn't really do anything to get it, I got blessed. But if your blood and your sweat is inside it, then you'd be like your baby. Hey, I put some money in this, I put some time in this, I put some work in this, I did something, and I want to make sure my baby is taken care of. I want to have so much passion and so much work and so much love and so much faith that because I know the outcome, because I did the work, and now you want to share that with others. So we can clearly see a precept in this to Cain and Abel. Cain wanted to give a little bit, but Abel gave it all. Continue, please.
Every man according as he is purpose in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity. For Elohim loves a cheerful giver.
So as you can see, you're not supposed to give grudgingly or of need. Like, I need you to give. You should want to. It should be a happiness to give because of an untainted or an unfailing love that you know the produce. It's not saying people don't need help. So don't twist my words. It's not saying that. What it's saying is that in that cheerfulness, if there's a spirit there that's like, well, I got to do this because they said they need it, that's the problem. Yeah, you respond to the need of the people, absolutely. But in the heart of the man, if it's not cheerful, if it's not a wanting, then don't give. As a matter of fact, you can take it back. You can take it back. And I've seen it already happen too. Gave it right back to you. A couple times actually in this process. We gave it right back to them because it has to be in the right grandeur. Because if it's a tainted gift, what do you think that's going to be? If you plant a tainted seed, what kind of tree is it going to grow? A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, just like a bad tree can't bear good fruit. That's what Yeshua said. If you plant something good, the sprout is going to be good. You won't see oranges on an apple tree. If you plant an apple seed, it's going to have apple fruit. An apple tree will be. If it starts getting oranges, I'd say that's a problem. I'm not going to eat that. That's weird. Something got mutated in the process. I'm just saying, if you plant an apple seed, an apple tree, you should see an apple. Just like an orange, whatever. That's the point of the matter. So the seed that you're sowing, the return on investment, the return should be a greater grandeur of what you planted or what you invested. Go ahead. Continue.
And Elohim is able to make all grace abound toward you, that ye always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work, as it is written. He has dispersed abroad, he has given to the poor. His righteousness remains forever.
How long does it remain?
Forever.
Righteousness, the element of righteousness, remains forever. Look at the poor aspect in this scripture. Look at that where it's fertile ground. It's fertile ground. Because someone who's poor lacks, right? We know that. But it's not necessarily a lack in the sense of, like, yeah, they need things to eat and survive. But when you lose everything, you have all decisions to make. It opens the door now. So the ground is fertile. Once you are at the lowest place, rock bottom, you're at the most powerful. You want to know why? Because everything is now gone. So you have a decision now to redefine your path and to rise out of that. To sprout, to bloom, to harvest out of that. Because what you invested in to put you in that spot, it wasn't fruitful. So now that you are starting over with a clean slate, you can make any decision, but that decision is going to define the rest of your way and the destination that you're going to. So when it says this, understand that everlasting righteousness, that's the fruit. Come on, continue. 10.
Verse 10. Now he that ministers seed to the sower, both minister bread for your food, and multiply your seed sown.
What does it do?
Multiply your seed sown.
Say it again.
Multiply your seed sown.
Multiply, because that's the harvest. So as you can see now, it's going even beyond that. When you harvest one, you now got 20 more things than what you planted. You planted one seed and you have 50 of them. Go ahead.
And multiply your seed sown, and increase the fruits of your righteousness.
The fruits of your what?
Righteousness. Being enriched in everything to all bountifulness, which causes through us thanksgiving to Elohim. For the administration of this service not only supplies the wants of the saints, but is abundant also by many thanksgivings unto Elohim.
So in this establishment of this administration or office or agency, so this process of kingdom investment, it is an agency of rule. It is an administration of the office. It has to be done. It has to be done. It is part of what the congregation, the called out assembly, is supposed to do and be. But it not only supplies the wants of the saints, the people, but it also abundantly many thanksgivings unto Elohim, because what that does is it produces also in heavenly places, in kingdom places. So not only does it do the material things or the wants of the people, but it also produces heavenly things of the spiritual. Whatever you bind on earth is bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth is loose in heaven. So anything that you do today here in this world, you're actually building the world to come. Spiritually, people can't see that beyond. I want to talk about that because there's a lot of things that people look at in the now and they believe that's a waste of time. They believe that going to something or doing something can be a waste of time. But that process, even just sitting there fishing for a while, maybe you get no bites, maybe you do. But in the same grandeur of you doing that, in your mental focus, and you're establishing and you're learning, or you're catching what you need to catch for your family to eat, that's a spiritual mechanism that you're actually providing inventory. You're banking that spiritual, I guess you could say that spiritual finance. I'm putting it in words that you guys can understand. You're banking that for the next world to come, because the next world to come, it won't be physical like this in the sense of how we operate now. Yeah, there is going to be a practical and a solid nature. There is going to be a new body. Absolutely. But the physicality is going to be greatly elevated and returned, and it's going to be bloomed and exploded. This ain't the final product. This ain't the final product. Things have to be transformed. So in this process, the thanksgiving, it's not just the wants of what's today. You're also moving and progressing building blocks for the next phase to come. Continue.
Verse 13.
Yes.
While by the experiment of this ministration, they glorify Elohim for your professed subjections unto the Besorah.
Unto the what?
The Besorah.
So this is pertaining to kingdom. Doing this process, investing and sowing and then harvesting, that's a kingdom, part of the kingdom process of the gospel. Look at that. Now we know that, but somebody may not have. Again, as you can see, that's a requirement. And as we read in Numbers, Yahuwah commanded Moses, and Moses commanded them to do it. And if they didn't, that would be a sin. And that production of the kingdom is as part of our distribution and the experiment or the action, the substance, the creation of the ministry. That's a required part. A ministry, guys, or a church, all you can be more forthcoming to say this and put every leader on blast. Any ministerial leader, if you have a church out there, I'm not naming names, if there's a church out there that's just sitting there and raking, but no progression, no recycling, no expansion, and it's just, okay, we're doing our weekly thing, and that's it, and there's no progression. That's not according to what the Word says. Because there has to be a kingdom investment and a return, a constant growth. And that puts you in subjection to the gospel of Mashiach, which is the kingdom. Continue, please.
For your professed subjection unto the Messiah of Mashiach, and for your liberal distribution unto them and unto all men.
Your free distribution unto them and to who?
All men.
So you ain't left out. There's no excuses. Everybody has to do this. Continue.
And by their prayer for you, which long after you for the exceeding grace of Elohim in you. Thanks be unto Elohim for his unspeakable gift.
That means it is passive. If it doesn't have to be spoken, of course it had to be made, right? But it's still, if it's passive, that's already in you to do those things. If you realize, if you lose your job one day, if you get fired, if you maybe you miss an assignment, you fail, maybe you have to turn in a college paper, your innate being is going to, well, I gotta get something else. I gotta try this again. I gotta do this again. I gotta do this again. I gotta do this again. That's your innate being. Even if you choose to wallow, inside there's a want to do it right. That's what, this is passive. This is built in your function. Like, for example, if you get hit in the mouth, you're going to want to hit in the neck. That's just an innate. Because again, once you're put in a place of reservation, where now you have to step back, I'm like, well, I got to get this back, or I got to do better. You have to. That's in your passive DNA. You can deny it all you want to. But once you get knocked down, and you may be okay with being there, but there's a little voice behind the scenes that's like, well, I really want to do this. I want to. You may not express that, but behind closed doors, when you look in the mirror and nobody's watching, you want that. So, I'm saying it like this, guys. There is really no choice in this aspect of what you're built with. The choice is action, but you're ingrined in the DNA to do these things. It's already put inside you. The harvest is already there. The action of labor is already there. All you got to do is move. Is to do it. It's already innate. It's already just natural. That naturally we get put in situations that what we'll do as human beings, kingdom beings, in the physical body. If we go through a situation, we go into a place, fight or flight, that will naturally start doing things. If we lose something, we get stuck in the middle of nowhere, all of a sudden there's a plan you'll just start, okay, I don't have this now, like something will kick on, overdrive, and then you'll just start doing the greater thing. So in this way, I'm going to say that sometimes I like getting put in the corner. I love being corrected. I love getting put in my place because what this does is this helps me increase. This helps me climb. We all maybe watch fights too. Let me give you another example to this. There's an old fight back in the day. I like boxing, right? Buster Douglas was versus Mike Tyson. Buster Douglas lost his mother a couple days before. He was the underdog, and Mike Tyson was in his prime. Mike Tyson was an animal in the ring. Nobody could whip him. And Buster Douglas came along as an underdog, coming from a small town. He actually went to school in Coffeyville, Kansas. Went to college there. He went in that ring and he beat the brakes off of Mike Tyson. Because of the drive, his why was greater. That being the case, his why being greater, or his ambition being greater, because of where he was, he had no choice. I have to beat him. I'm going to beat him. So in the same way that we look at these things, this sets us up for the future, for not only this world, but the next world. Yeshua said that I will give you lands, brothers, family, children, in this world and to come. It's going to be a greater natural transformation than it would be here, well, it would be there than now. All you're doing is you're banking your deposit. Doing these things may seem meaningless to somebody who doesn't know that. We're sitting down in a job that maybe you liking or learning, but you're just sitting down for a long time. But really what's happening is your spirit's being trained for situations in the next life, or even the life that you could be needing to, maybe you got to go through something. Maybe that moment had to be a training, so 2 months later, you had to speak to somebody else that you didn't know about. I went through that too before. I got a situation before where I was put in a situation I didn't understand why, and I learned something from that situation that I had to then use to minister to someone 2 months later. If I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have been able to minister to them. Because Yah will put you in places that you have to redeem the time. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Again, Ecclesiastes, not Sirach, Ecclesiastes. Chapter 3, we're going to start at verse 9. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, we're going to go to verse 9 on down. You with me? Come on, you with me? Yeah, are you with me, guys?
Yes.
Are we understanding?
We're understanding.
Cool. All right, come on. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, we're going to go to verse 9. I'll read this time. So, Ecclesiastes 3, verse 9. What profit, so now harvest, right? What profit has he that works in that wherein he labors? So, you're working. What is your harvest now? What's the profit? I have seen the travail which Elohim has given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. So the trials and travail that you go through are meant for exercise. Look at what we just talked about. Exercise. It exercises you. You know, jumping jacks, curls, pull-ups, whatever. These are exercises. This is training. So you wonder why am I going to do this? It doesn't seem like it's doing nothing because you're training. You're training. Go ahead. Well, I was reading. Which Elohim has given to the sons of men to be exercised in it. He has made everything beautiful in His time. Also, He has set the world in their heart. What? He set the whole operation of the world in your heart already. Because we can read in Genesis that He gave dominion to them to oversee everything, just not themselves. You can't rule over another man, but you have dominion over everything on the earth. That's already in your DNA. That means things have to listen to you. You ever hear those stories where all of a sudden somebody's going to get attacked, but the spirit came up and the animal ran away, or like a tornado turned back? It's because you have dominion over everything of the earth. Anything that transitions in this world as an element that's bound by the laws of physics, you have power over that. Or the laws of the material realm, you have power over that. Go ahead. Well, again, I'm reading. He has made everything beautiful in His time. Also, He has set the world in their heart so that no man can find out the work of Elohim makes from the beginning to the end. So that's the mystery. That's the guard you have. So it comes through you. I know that there is no good in them, but for a man to rejoice and to do good in his life. Verse 13, Ecclesiastes chapter 3. And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all of his labor. It is the gift of Elohim. So this is a gift, freely given. He's given based on the work he's already put inside you to till and to do those things. This is the harvest. This is what it's supposed to look like. And it's a goodness, man. I'm glad we invested a few bucks here and there. I'm glad we did that, so when we go through a trial, we can withdraw and be taken care of. I don't have to sit there and be a burden to anybody. I know, verse 14, I know that whatsoever Elohim does, it shall be forever, because he put it in your heart or in your DNA. That production, if done righteously, is going to be forever, meaning it'll work for itself. It will be a revolving door. Nothing can be put into it, meaning that nothing outside can be put in it, nor thing can be taken away. And Elohim does it, that men should fear before him. So anything that work, that kingdom work, no man can add an extra thing to it that'll spice it, because Elohim don't need that help. And no man can take it away. It is set in stone, an unaltered decision. This is what's inside you, whether you like it or not. Let's continue. Genesis chapter 1, verse 11. Genesis chapter 1 and verse 11. Again, just proving more on this. Proving more on this, so we know. Genesis 1, verse 11. Just showing you now the harvest or the fruits of your investment. The harvest and the fruits of your investment. Genesis 1 and verse 11. Sister Inez, go ahead.
And Elohim said, let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was good.
Look at this. Look at this. So we literally have an operation of the whole planet. You know, I used to say that, who made grass grass? Who said it? And I was reading this the other day. Oh, there it is, obviously. I thought this was an addition to the world, but no, this is a thing of God. This is something that he produced. So this being the case, we clearly see, and if you guys ever realize an abandoned building, like if you go to the countryside, or you start driving and you see a building that's been left alone for a long time, or let's say a land, if it's left alone and nobody messes with it, nobody tills it, and you leave it alone, what typically happens?
Elements take over.
Elements take over, and what do we typically see starts happening to the building?
Grass.
Yeah, nature. It automatically starts growing. So the earth that you are over automatically has a revolving mechanism that will by itself produce. It's built that way to automatically produce plant life. And some of the things, if you do your research, something you can do your homework on, you realize that there's things in your own backyard that you can make a remedy for to live off of. There's certain little weeds or plants that grow in your very backyard that you can use things at home to make for remedies, or like things like soups to sustain you. Something that I learned recently. Just that already just grows naturally. That just grows. Yes, he is. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 62. Again, Isaiah chapter 62. We're going to start at verse 8 and go on down. Isaiah chapter 62 and verse 8 on down. Isaiah chapter 62 and verse 8 on down. Go ahead.
Yeshua has sworn 7 oaths by his right hand.
Yahuwah.
Has sworn 7 oaths by his right hand, and by the arm of his strength. Surely I would no more give your grain to be meat for your enemies.
So the grain, now we see the operation that what you're building, and this is the harvest. You have to harvest, and what people don't do, they don't know how to do, is now you have to be a guard to what you have. You have to guard what you have. I'm going to say it before we have to guard, protect, be a shield to what you have. Go ahead.
And the sons of the strangers shall not drink your wine, for the which you have labored. But they that have gathered it shall eat it, and praise your God. And they that have brought it together shall drink in it, in the courts of my holiness.
Where are you going to drink out of that?
In the courts of his holiness.
Say it again.
In the courts of his holiness.
In the temple. In the place where they got together. The house. So the production of what you invest, that is not meant for your enemy. Yes, you're supposed to, if your enemy curses, you're supposed to bless them that curse you and do good for those who use you. Absolutely. But if there's a jewel inside, something that Yahuwah gave you through Yeshua, and you're operating and you're producing that for people and saints, you're producing that for the greatness of the kingdom, and then someone comes in from the outside and invades and wants to take over, that's not for them. There has to be an understanding. Of course, you give food to people that need to eat. Absolutely. But there's a line. Yeshua said you cannot cast your pearls before swine. That is a pearl. That is a jewel of that production. Because at the end of the day, if you disobey that, all you're going to do is kill them or kill yourself. Because that's a spiritual food that you killed by the Lamb. That is preparing heavenly places and kingdom principles that's going on to the next life. Continue.
Verse 9. But they that have gathered it shall eat it, and praise Yahuwah. And they that have brought it together shall bring it in the courts of my holiness. Go through the gates, prepare ye the way of the people.
Say what?
Go through the gates.
Go through the gates. So they're already in the kingdom. They're already in the doors. Go through the gates and then prepare the way. The destination is first. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Now when you're inside the gates, then you can formulate the road, the plan, the way to it. The operation, the way so other nations can come in. But how are you going to have other nations come in with no place to go to? They're going to be on the endless road walking through the desert with nowhere to go. When they're looking for an oasis, something to get some water so they can continue their journey. There has to be a destination first.
Yes.
Why would I go to work in the morning when there's no place to go work at? Why would I just start walking to no destination? That makes no sense. When I got up, I used the same example, I'm going to use it today. I got up and I had to walk to work. But I had to walk to work. If I didn't have to go to work, I wasn't going to walk. Go ahead.
Cast up the highway, gather out the stones, lift up a standard for the people. Behold, Yahuwah has proclaimed unto the end of the world.
Say what?
He has proclaimed to the end of the world.
One more time for people in the back.
Yahuwah has proclaimed unto the end of the world.
So this is not just for this time or the Old Testament, people that want to dispensate the word incorrectly. This is for what?
Unto the end of the world.
Okay, continue please.
Say ye to the daughter of Zion,
Which is the children of Israel. Come on.
behold, your Yeshua comes. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. And they shall call him them the holy people, the redeemed of Yahuwah. And you shall be called, sought out, a city.
What?
A city.
And this came from a city, though. Now, yes, it did start talking about salvation. Yes, it did. And we know the salvation, the redemption story. But when they talked about it, it wasn't outside the gates. It was inside the gates. The conversation was personal. Go back and read that again. Read that again. To anybody who can't say the kingdom ain't the message, people that are preaching stuff incorrectly, read this again. This is from the Old Testament. Read it again. Or the Holy Scriptures. Read it again.
Isaiah 62, verse 12.
Scroll back up, Faith. I want to show people this. It's in the message. Scroll people. People want to preach his death, burial, and resurrection and say that that's the message. Read this. Because before they started talking about salvation, they were in the city first. They didn't preach it. It was personal. They talked about a kingdom going in the gates. Continue, read verse 11. Read it again.
Verse 11. Behold, Yahuwah has proclaimed unto the end of the world. Say ye to the Lord.
He proclaimed, he preached, Yahuwah preached unto the end of the world. What did he preach?
Say ye to the daughter of Zion. Behold, your Yeshua comes. Behold, his reward is with him.
Scroll back up one more. One more. Verse 10. Yeah, there we go. Go to verse 10. We're going to go chronologically to be accurate. What did he say first?
Go through.
Say it again.
Go through.
Say it again.
Go through.
The what?
The gates.
So before you can prepare the way to people, you got to first be in the city to do that. Come on, read it again.
Go through.
People need to really hear this. Again.
Go through.
Go through the gates.
The gates.
Then, because there's a semicolon, it's inside the story. Go ahead.
Then prepare ye the way of the people.
How are you going to prepare something that you don't know where it's at? How are you going to have a door with no house? How are you going to have a house with no door? Come on.
Cast up the highway. Gather out the stones. Lift up a standard for the people.
Now continue. So now we have the city. You're inside the city, right?
Yes.
Because in context, when you walk through a gate, you're going inside a territory, right?
Right.
Right? We agree? Now read the next verse.
Verse 11. Behold, Yahuwah has proclaimed unto the end of the world.
So we ain't even talking about salvation yet. This is saying he proclaimed the city inside the gates, going to a place to the end of the world. Remember it says, this message shall be preached to all the nations and then the end shall come? This is what he proclaimed. And now, being inside the gates, the personal conversation. Now what did he say?
Say ye to the daughter of Zion, behold your Yeshua.
Salvation, yes.
Your salvation comes. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him.
As you can see, the reward would have to be the kingdom. Because he isn't the being of salvation. That's what he is. Because if the salvation is coming, that's what he already is. So the gift would be the kingdom. That's the investment. That's the return on investment, guys. It answers it. Last one, go ahead, verse 12.
Verse 12. And they shall call them the holy people, the redeemed of Yahuwah. And you shall be called, sought out, a city not forsaken.
Does this say that they should be called out somebody that's saved by grace because Jesus died on the cross? Does it say that? Does it say that, we're sinners saved by grace? That's what they were? It doesn't say that. These are already saved people inside a city, and a city not forsaken. That's what that says. Matthew chapter 9. Ooh.
That's good.
another one for the books. Another witness. Anybody who wants to challenge. Where is this in the Old Testament? There it is. There's one for you. There's more, but that's just another one for the books, baby. Matthew chapter 9, verse 37 and 38. Come on. Matthew chapter 9, verse 37 and 38. Kingdom investment and kingdom return. Your return on your kingdom investment. We're now in the transition to those tuning in. We talked about the first one. We talked about an aspect of investing, and now we're talking about the return of that, the harvest. So go ahead, Matthew chapter 9, verse 37 and 38. Give it to me.
Then said he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few.
Say it again.
The harvest truly is plenteous,
But the laborers.
but the laborers are few.
So we got a lot of people who don't want to do nothing. I'm being honest with you. We got a lot of people who just want to sit down and listen and not act. It says be doers of the word, not just hearers. Looking inside your mirror, forgetting who you are. Just coming in all day, sit in a nice little fancy building with air conditioning churches, and listen and go to the next day doing the same crap that you were doing last week. Newsflash, going to church and that's it, listening and going through the week, that's not following God. That's a small little inch. That's not even, that's like, okay, you go to church. I'm calling anybody out. That anybody has ever said nothing, it's like, well, I go to church. And? I go to church. And? Okay, well, where do you go? What have you invested in? Who is your apostle? What do you believe? What are you doing? Where's your following? I mean, at this point, if just going to church, going to a building for 2 hours a week, get you in the kingdom, okay, that would be awesome. If it was that easy. But the thing is, if it was that easy, folks, then that means it'd be the same thing that's happening right now on earth. You'll be sitting with people that are not like-minded. If it was that easy just to get in the door, just to live in the kingdom, if it was that easy, there would still be a disagreement and still arguments. There would still be things ungodly there. There would still be unrighteousness there. If all it is just attendance, everybody would do it. But if it's attendance and action, attendance and fruit. Since we're talking about harvest, I want to add on to that, fruit. Now, some people say fruit is just action. No, that's not it. Because I can provide a lot of action but have no profit. I can provide a lot of action but have no profit. I can build a stage but never preach on it. So what I'm saying is that people say movement or action is fruit. No. You have to plant the seed, build a tree, and then the tree has to have branches to have fruit bloom. Something has to bloom. A resource, a consumable resource. It has to bloom. That is what fruit is. Fruit is action and progression. It's not just movement. You built a church. Great. So you built a tree. What resources are you producing for people inside that tree? Come on. There has to be a follow-through. A follow-through. A vision without action is a hallucination. It can't. You have to have progression and action. There has to be something bloom. You can go buy a plant from the store. And I'll say this until it's a dead horse in the ground, I'm beating it. I know I am. You buy a plant from the store, you water it, and it grows. You going to buy the plant, let's say you've never done that before, right? You've never done that before, and you going buy the pot, buy the plant, you did all your stuff to it, and you start watering it. You may think that is fruit because you're doing something you haven't done before. That's not fruit. What the fruit is when the plant blooms to its final stage. And it finishes the production. That's the fruit. Come on, read.
Verse 38. Pray ye therefore God of the harvest, and that he will send forth laborers into his harvest.
Send forth what?
Laborers.
Workers. Production specialists. Producers. Producers. Those of you who have been instructed into the kingdom, you're supposed to produce things old and new. The treasures of the house. You are a householder. You hold the house. You own the house. You have to bring forth things old and new. Revelation chapter 14. This is the last one and we're done. Revelation chapter 14. You following?
Yes.
Can we say kingdom investment?
Kingdom investment.
Now say kingdom harvest.
Kingdom harvest.
Thank you. Kingdom harvest. Revelation chapter 14. We're going to start this on verse 14. Revelation chapter 14, verse 14. The harvest, look at that. I didn't even know it said that title. The harvest of fear. Your return. Everything you've been doing. We're going to see this application. Am I just saying it, or this is what the Word is saying? We're going to end on this. Revelation chapter 14, verse 14. Take it away, sister.
And I looked, and behold, a white cloud. And upon the cloud, one sat like unto the son of Adam.
Say what?
One sat like unto the son of Adam.
So somebody was coming from a cloud from on high, and he looked like the son of Adam. To say it was, because that was going to return from a cloud. He's going to descend the same way he ascended, as the Word says. But come on.
Having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle.
Come on.
And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice, to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in your sickle, and reap, for the time is come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe.
In the process of, we clearly see the end, when he splits the sky, comes down and reaping everything. We got that. That's when it's time to bloom. He's reaping that it's ripe to reap. So in a lot of places in our life, a lot of people don't see the ripeness of what God has called them to do. And so the timing of operation, you may not know what to invest in, or when the harvest is plentiful. What I'm telling you is by the language of the kingdom, the Word. That is your tool in a spiritual sense. It's going to give you aspects to be able to know how to tilt the ground, to know how to do things, not just the ground, but your life. If any job that you guys are working out there, if any job that you guys are doing, if the end of that is not seeking a fruit, a bloom, if you're just working a job just to work a job, and there's no ambition, even if you're working a job you don't want to work, but you're doing it temporarily for something better, that's okay. But if you're just stuck, and there's no ambition to get a raise, to get promoted, then you need to seek and find wisely something that you love and that you have ambition in. You need to be focused. Okay, while I'm doing something I don't like to do, I want to now, the time I have off work, I'm going to go invest in my greater business, my greater calling, to what I'm going to do this time and the next life. Continue.
Verse 16. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple, which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in your sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe.
So for the grapes to be fully ripe, for that moment to come, that means the kingdom was already produced everywhere in enough way where, hey, it's time to go. It's time to produce. The kingdom is coming. The transition. And when I say go, I mean produce. We ain't going anywhere. I mean produce what's here. That we're at a stage in our placement that you're going to be switched. That it's right. Okay, whoop, bloop, 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 bloop. The whole Mario thing. You know, the same thing. Because once it's bloomed and once it's ripe, once it's ready to be produced, someone has to come in and whoop, switch. And then now it's the production of the finished, elevated thing. To say we're already finished, yeah, we're already finished in the aspect of kingdom being here and all things in you. But there's also another elevation to take place. The body still has to be switched to a heavenly stage. Everything that's material. To a kingdom stage. Everything that's material has to switch. This is not your final form. Continue.
Verse 18. Verse 19. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of Elohim. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles, by the space of 1,600 stadia.
So as you can see, every fruit has juice. It has things coming out, the production to be filled. What this is saying, I'll put this in a more of a term that we can all understand here, is that going into a company, you start at the janitor, and then you become the CEO. We're the CEOs of the kingdom right now. The CEOs of the kingdom right now. So that CEO of the kingdom has now built a whole business, a whole process, a whole company and empire on earth. And because that has been set up, that now has to transition to a spiritual sense. That's the practicality. So when that switch comes, that production, not saying everyone has to be a CEO, follow me. What I'm saying is that that process then will be switched, transitioned into that same nature, but to a greater sense, to a sense of a full switching, the resurrected, the heavenly, the new body, the new name, all of that functions. So you look at the customs, the holy days, things like that. Those are things that are already going to be operating in the kingdom. Better it is to do them now, and then to risk being in the second resurrection with the damned and not knowing what's going on. What language is this? What are we doing? Oh, I've never seen this before. Because there's a whole new age world coming, transitioning, switched. The preparation for that at a much higher level. The process of people always want to sit there and harp on, well, the process of salvation. Well, he already did his thing. Now you're saved. So it's the next message, the kingdom message. Even then they were still talking about the kingdom. But that's already been done, though. The process to be saved, you're already saved. So now, what is your return? What is the investment that you're producing now and for the next life? What are you producing right now that will incorporate the next? What are you carrying over? Will your deeds that you have done, will they be burnt or will they be everlasting? That's something to ask. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for taking the moment out of your day to listen to this and when you did not have to be so kind. If you're moved to cheerfully, again, there's a banner below, Cash App of Lost Souls Ministry. Please give to help us, again, further invest and to be able to produce this more. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page, but also follow our Facebook and like and share because other people need to hear this. Thank you so much for listening. Let the Most High Yahuwah and His Son Yeshua keep you and bless you. Mr. Ness, please pray us out.
Thank you, most precious Father, for the gifts you have bestowed upon our lives. The gifts you have given us, Father, let us use them for your glory. To not hold our gifts and not go out and produce. Help us to further the kingdom of God, of your kingdom, Father. To press in, to do what we need to do, to elevate, to spread the word, the kingdom word. We love you. We thank you. We give you praise and honor. We lift your name up. And we pray that everyone that heard this word on today, that it blessed them, that it did a change in them, creating them a new heart, a new spirit. And we just thank you for your word and forever, your word today and forevermore. In your Son Yeshua name we pray. Come. It is so.
So be it.
So be it, and it is so.
Put your hands to the plow, saving souls, restoration in this earth. Jesus Christ is what we rep. Reppin' blood, you out the way today to serve the Lord. Put your guns down, stop killing each other. See the God in your brother, the spirit is willing, set us all free. Taste and see his liberty is what we need. Gather all sheep, plenty of followers out there facing this world day and night, taking it on, occupy until he comes. Doing his work, teaching the gospel, raising the dead, living holy in a lost and dying world. Separate the good from the bad. Educate yourself, pick up this book and read, stimulate your mind. Why can't you see? You won the victory.